Hello and welcome back to another market outlook. I hope you had a great trading week last week. There were lots of opportunities in the markets based off of the analysis we posted. So please watch to the end just to make sure you get all the nuggets we do give. Some of the trades, or a lot of the trades that I highlighted, did actually play out quite well. This is the dollar index. Last week we did say that price would look to push from where it was potentially to take these highs, then move lower to this sell side liquidity here. What did in turn happen is price just moved lower from Sunday onwards straight to the target, and it got there on Tuesday. So Monday or Tuesday you could have got short. Monday you could have got short onto there, or a second try into there on Wednesday. But yeah, that played out quite nicely. I'll show what we're looking for in the dollar index in the next coming week. So if we look at last week's candle first, what we can see is price failed to close as an order block, or a propulsion block I should say, from this green candle. It went to take the lows and then closed back above the low of this candle, meaning that the bears are losing control, or there is a relief of bearish pressure, meaning that the market might sort of tick higher, or should tick higher before moving lower again. If you look at the daily time frame, what I can see here, price is stuck in a range in this daily candle here. So what we can see is this fair value gap here is holding quite strong. It is holding price down, and it's quite a key fair value gap. So price is still also stuck in this range of this candle. You can see it took the highs, then took the lows, and took the highs again. If you're looking at a textbook view, price should sort of move lower from here, because it did take the highs of this range here. I will look to wait for the daily close. I think on Monday will be the smartest thing to do, just because there's such uncertainty to being in this range. If I was to say, take a scalp or day trade, you can take shorts, but I like to take trades based off of higher time frame analysis. So what I'd look for is if your price to break above this value gap and then pull back to it, and then look to take price higher into, I've got a nice balanced price range. We've got a fair value gap here, or an inverse fair value gap here, and also a fair value gap here. So, and also there's a volume imbalance. So this will be an area that I look for price to pull back into if we do break above and close above this fair value gap here. I will just wait to see how Monday plays out, but I won't take longs until we get and break above this fair value gap level there. If you look at the 1 hour, it just shows the range based off of this daily candle here. Price got to the top of the range and then got to the bottom of the range, and it's now back at the top of the range. If we do see price either take these highs and move down, or just move straight lower from here, if we do get a nice fair value gap and a pull back into that level, we'd scale down to lower time frame to see what we can find. If price does want to show that it is pushing low, we can take shorts down to the bottom of the range again. But yeah, I'm not really liking how it's looking overall. On the longer time frame, I'm still bearish down into these lows here. It's just taking its time to get there. Moving on to cable. When I do give these analysis on some of these pairs, they are generally highly correlated or paired up with a related asset. So for example, when I look at cable or pound dollar, you can look at euro dollar as well. So that means that whichever one that shows that it's moving in the favorable direction and showing good price action, you can look to trade that. So on the playlist, I have pound dollar, which is also paired with euro dollar. I have gold, which is also paired with silver, and I have Nasdaq, which is closely linked or more closely linked to the S&P 500, but also linked to the YM or the Dow Jones. So looking at cable, which is pound dollar, we can see last week's candle once again failed to close above this previous weekly candle, pardon me. What we look to do here is take shorts into this fair value gap first of all. That's the first, you can see there's a clear bullish trend in this, but you can see at times when price does expand, like this big candle here, we get a few weeks of consolidation. So we had 2 weeks of expansion and a few weeks of consolidation. A week expansion, and it might get another week of consolidation. It might then manipulate lower before moving higher. Like for example, this candle here, we had an expansion, manipulation for 3 weeks. Consolidation for 3 weeks. Then price manipulated down in this week here, which then showed us that price wanted to move higher the following week. So any moment from now, wants to see price manipulate into this area here before moving higher. Okay, now on the daily time frame, this just shows last week how I'll go to it on the 4 hour now to show how accurate we were in last week's analysis. In fact, let me do that right now. What we'll do is I can show you, we were looking at pound dollar to either take these lows, then move higher, which was one of the scenarios we did look at. Or we did look for price to come back into this order block, which it did quite accurately to the T, and move higher up to our targets, which were here, which it did do. So we can delete that and now look at the daily again. So that was what I marked out. There was a daily order block candle body. It has now taken these highs. We have a nice swing high formation here. So a swing high, 3 candles where the middle candle is the highest and the other 2 candles have lower highs than the middle high candle. What we can now look for price to do is potentially, as I said before, on the weekly time frame, move down into this weekly fair value gap, or we can revisit this candle body here again. But either way, we're looking on a very short term basis. We're bearish on this for then price to move higher. Okay, so bearish for until price gets into these interesting levels, but ultimately on the longer term or medium term, we are looking at a bullish pound dollar. This is gold now. Gold last week didn't do too much. As I mentioned before, we compare gold with silver, which I will very briefly look at the silver chart in a second. So what we can see for silver is last week's candle was very, very, very bullish. So this is now potentially the leading or stronger asset out of the two. So if you're looking on the daily time frame, yeah, we look for price just to pull back into this fair value gap, and then look to take that higher. So that's clearer there. You might want to add this to your watch list. This is potentially something that we can keep and watch for this week. If you are just a gold trader, or you much prefer to trade gold than silver, we're looking at last week, as I mentioned before, not much happened. We might see price move lower, but once again on the downside, we have this rejection block here, and then we also have the wick low down there. On the daily time frame, we've seen price take the swing high from here and then move lower. So if you were watching this from Thursday night, you would know to take shorts on Friday based off of this price action. But yeah, we've still got this fair value gap that is holding price up. So price should and almost certainly will revisit this in the next day or two, being Monday or Tuesday. And then obviously we've got this low from this wick here for price to also aim to the downside. So yeah, once again, short-term bearish on this, which means we're short-term bullish on the dollar index, meaning that if we're looking at those and then come back to dollar index, we might want to see price move into this, or let's go to the 4 hour and see what else we have. So if we're not, that's quite a far target, so we might want to have a target in between, which would be this high here, which is also in this fair value gap here. It's quite a big one, so I won't mark it out here, but yeah, that high would be the first place we want price to move higher into. So back to gold. So yeah, we want to see price maybe potentially keep moving a bit lower on Monday before finding support and then moving higher. Or worst case scenario, if we do break below this fair value gap, I will look to take price into first of all the rejection block and then the low. That will be a target for me personally. This low here, I'm not quite convinced that it will. There's a lot of liquidity behind it. There is some liquidity, but that is where the rest of the liquidity is for this whole swing move. So yeah, we're watching that price to move lower for gold for the next few day or two, I'd say. And then let's finally move on to the Nasdaq. So with the Nasdaq, once again, this is the trade I marked out for you in last week's video. You can go back and watch it. This is the exact trade I put in the video. I have not touched it, and you can see you'd had a nice over the course of 1, 2, 3, 4 days. You would have had a nice 2.45 risk or reward, sorry, based upon a 1 risk, so 1 to 2.45, which is a nice trade. This is a very safe stop to have. Another stop you could have put, or place you could have put a stop loss was here, which would have given you a 3 to 1 return. But moving on to the weekly, what we can see here is price did take the high and close below, but it's still quite a strong candle. We are in a bearish fair value gap and we haven't yet closed it out. So we can watch this on Monday, see how it behaves, and go from there. Similarly, on the daily time frame, we have price closing above this bearish block. So this technically now is an order block. We should be seeing higher prices. Yeah, we should be seeing higher prices based upon what we can see on that time frame. What we might find first is price come into this block here and then move higher. This is a nice block just here. It's touched it on Friday, but that's Friday of NFP, so manipulation. Last week Friday it was NFP, if you did not know. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Wait to see how it plays out. You might also want to look at the ES. Sorry. So if we look at the E-mini S&P, let's clear that. What we can see on the daily time frame or the weekly was a lot clearer. That closed above, or just did. Let's have a look at the price. So the high of this candle is 6,008.00 and the close of this candle is 6,006. So it didn't quite close above the high of this candle. However, it closed above the high of the previous or the week prior to that candle. So this is definitely showing bullish price action on the daily time frame as well. Similarly is also bullish price action. So I'd say that you want to probably be trading this is also bullish. It's closed above this bearish fair value gap. So yeah, we are looking to take longs on these, and this definitely did close above this candle, but not above this candle. So they're all a little bit different, but I think the weakest would be the Nasdaq. And yeah, I'd say maybe trade, if you're taking longs, definitely look to trade either the S&P or the Dow Jones. If you want to take any shorts and it's a scalp, potentially you can go for the Nasdaq. But yeah, this is the end of the video, guys. Please let me know if you did like the video. Let me know what you want me to analyze on. I will try to get a video on Wednesday. I've said I would the last couple of weeks, but I've been so busy. We'll see if I can this week. But I hope this video did help you, and hope that you can get some good profit and returns in the coming week.